Boeing 737 MAX. On October 29, 2018, Lion Air Flight 610, carrying 189 passengers and crew, plunged into the Java Sea only 13 minutes after taking off from Indonesia. The pilots had reported flight control issues and requested to return to the airport just moments before the fatal dive. The ill-fated aircraft was recently introduced Boeing 737 MAX that was equipped with a new flight stabilization system called MCAS. Developed to counteract the plane's tendency for its nose to lift during certain maneuvers due to new, larger engines, MCAS was seen as a cost-effective alternative to an expensive structural redesign. This innovation also allowed the Federal Aviation Administration to approve the 737 MAX as another version of the existing 737, which in turn limited the additional training required for pilots. In a controversial move, Boeing obtained FAA approval to exclude MCAS from the aircraft manual. Pilots were left in the dark about this critical system when the 737 MAX entered service in 2017. Boeing's response to the Lion Air disaster was to lay blame on the pilots and instruct other 737 MAX operators on corrective actions in case of a nosedive. When pilots demanded more information, Boeing refused to elaborate. Company employees even went as far as concealing their suspicions that MCAS was behind the catastrophe from FAA investigators. Despite mounting concerns, the FAA and Boeing refused to ground the 737 MAX, fearing financial loss and damage to their reputation. Tragically, less than 5 months later, another 737 MAX, Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, crashed just 6 minutes after takeoff, claiming the lives of all 157 people on board. Although Boeing CEO Dennis Muilenburg continued to assert that the 737 MAX was safe, the FAA promptly grounded the remaining 385 MAX aircraft after discovering similarities between the two crashes. The aircraft would remain grounded for 2 years. Subsequent investigations revealed that the MCAS, installed at a misaligned 21-degree angle, had been activated in both crashes, causing the aircraft to enter an automatic nosedive. Described as, quote, inadequate and almost criminally insufficient, the FAA privately estimated that the new MCAS could lead to one crash every 6 months. In the aftermath of these government investigations, Boeing faced fraud conspiracy charges and was compelled to pay over $2.5 billion in fines and compensation. The 737 MAX has since returned to service with changes to the MCAS system and updates to pilot training. 2023 Ohio train derailment. On the evening of February 3, 2023, disaster struck when a Norfolk Southern train, consisting of 38 cars loaded with hazardous materials, derailed in Ohio. The ensuing fire raged for over 48 hours, requiring emergency services to perform a controlled burn of the remaining materials. This released massive amounts of toxic gases, such as hydrogen chloride and phosgene, into the atmosphere, forming dark, ominous plumes of smoke. This prompted renowned environmental activist Erin Brockovich to visit the site. After speaking with affected residents, she accused the authorities of orchestrating a classic cover-up amid an environmental catastrophe. Other commentators and politicians joined her, claiming crucial information was being withheld from the public. As weeks passed, various stories and videos circulated on social media, warning of acid rain and chemical odors, with some suggesting the derailment was a smokescreen for other conspiracies. The situation was further exacerbated by the arrest of a reporter covering the incident and the improper disposal of contaminated soil by Norfolk Southern. While no concrete evidence of a cover-up in the Ohio incident has been found, Norfolk Southern's dubious history, including multiple deadly accidents, silencing whistleblowers, and 18 employee deaths since 1991, has come under scrutiny. In 2013, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, ordered the company to pay $1.1 million to 3 whistleblowers who were wrongfully fired for reporting workplace injuries. Employees and rail experts blame higher accident rates over the past decade on the company's decisions to cut thousands of jobs and pressure employees to expedite deliveries, all in the pursuit of profit. The cutbacks resulted in a 39% decrease in Norfolk Southern's workforce, while the accident rate skyrocketed by 80%. Among the critics is Lance Johnston, a former Norfolk Southern engineer fired for raising concerns about defective brakes on a train. Such actions could have led to a similar derailment as the one in Ohio. In light of these revelations and the Ohio accident, the National Transportation Safety Board and the Federal Railroad Administration have launched a special investigation into Norfolk Southern safety practices. United Fruit Banana Massacre. In the early 20th century, the United Fruit Company emerged as a dominant force in the tropical fruit trade. This American multinational corporation, founded in 1899, specialized in the trading of tropical fruit and bananas produced on Latin American plantations for export to the United States and Europe. However, by the late 1920s, workers started to protest their dismal working conditions and low wages. On November 12, 1928, a strike erupted in the Santa Marta region of Colombia. The conflict continued for weeks, causing significant financial losses for the United Fruit Company. Workers insisted on a series of conditions, including compensation for injuries, a consistent weekly wage, payment in cash instead of coupons, hygienic living quarters, and a 6-day work week. Company executives and politicians portrayed the strikes as communist threats. The Colombian government, aware of the need to maintain the lucrative banana trade and secure vital international sales channels, decided to collaborate with United Fruit. Consequently, the Colombian army intervened to suppress the strikers. On a fateful Sunday, as workers and their families gathered for mass in the town square, soldiers sealed off the streets and issued a 5-minute warning. Machine guns mounted on rooftops rained down bullets on the unarmed crowd, which included women and children. The exact number of casualties remains uncertain. While the army commander responsible for the massacre claimed only 47 workers died, historians estimate the death toll could have reached 2,000. Reports suggest the victims' bodies were either thrown into the sea or buried in concealed mass graves. Survivors of the massacre sought refuge in the hills, with some hiding for days. In retaliation, others destroyed United Fruit buildings and engaged in guerrilla warfare against the Colombian army. The press provided biased accounts of the event, downplaying the number of deaths and circumstances surrounding the massacre. Still, one official correspondence from the U.S. Embassy in Colombia to the U.S. Secretary of State reported that, quote, "I have the honor to report that the Bogotá representative of the United Fruit Company told me yesterday that the total number of strikers killed by the Colombian military exceeded 1,000. Today, the United Fruit Company operates under the name Chiquita and remains a prominent banana producer. Despite its troubled past, the company continues to face allegations of corruption, admitting to making substantial bribes to government agencies and paramilitary groups in recent years. Nestle baby formula. In the aftermath of the Second World War, breast milk substitutes like baby formula saw a significant rise in popularity, despite being more expensive and less nutritious than natural milk. Strikingly, this trend prevailed even in less developed countries, where many mothers faced extreme poverty. During the 1970s, the World Health Organization uncovered that Swiss company Nestle, which had reaped enormous profits from baby formula sales, engaged in aggressive and deceptive marketing to persuade mothers that the formula was vital for the baby's healthy development. Tactics included offers of gifts and sponsorship to influence health workers, and the use of sales representatives dressed as seemingly authoritative milk nurses to promote the benefits of the formula. These were particularly deployed in impoverished and underdeveloped nations. As Nestle's marketing strategies came to light, a widespread boycott of Nestle products ensued, originating in the US before spreading to Europe in the 1980s. The WHO and Nestle boycott organizers found support in numerous studies advocating for breastfeeding infants for at least 6 months. These studies emphasized that Nestle had manufactured a demand for their product where none existed, exploiting millions of the world's poorest inhabitants. Further research suggested that Nestle's marketing practices not only crossed ethical boundaries, but may also be directly accountable for widespread malnutrition and countless infant deaths. The extent of the damage stemmed from several factors, such as impoverished mothers diluting the formula to extend its use, resulting in nutritional deficiencies for their infants. Additionally, since formula must be mixed with clean water, which is scarce in many underdeveloped regions, babies were often fed contaminated and unsanitized formula solutions. Overusing bottled formula could also lead mothers to lose their ability to breastfeed, prolonging the nutritional challenges. This issue was exacerbated by Nestle's aggressive distribution of free samples, which essentially got mothers hooked on the product and unable to return to regular breast milk. The Nestle boycott, which persisted from 1977 until the introduction of specific baby milk standards in 1984, is an important historical example of global citizens' capacity to promote humanitarianism, foster responsible capitalism, and exercise consumer influence over large corporations on an international scale. Dupont Teflon. Dupont, a corporate giant in the chemical industry, dominated the market with its trademark Teflon, a non-stick surface used in cookware and other products such as pizza boxes and waterproof clothing. By 2004, Teflon was generating approximately $100 million in annual revenue. The production of Teflon, however, had a dark side, the creation of a toxic byproduct called C8. In Parkersburg, West Virginia, home to one of DuPont's largest chemical plants, civilians and young families were unaware of the dangers lurking in their environment. Many locals worked at the plant and relied on the nearby water supply for their daily needs. Over time, employees, former employees, and Parkersburg residents started showing signs of serious illnesses, most notably kidney cancer. One woman, a local resident exposed to C8 through drinking water, underwent surgery to remove a massive tumor, which involved cutting her, quote, virtually in half. In the early 2000s, claims against DuPont surged, and full-scale investigations commenced. Shockingly, it was discovered that DuPont had known about the toxicity of C8 as far back as 1954, the same year it began applying Teflon to pans. By 1978, the company was aware that C8 was accumulating in harmful quantities within the bodies of its employees and had proven fatal in trials involving rhesus monkeys. In the early 1980s, DuPont recognized that C8 was causing birth defects and started monitoring the local drinking water. One internal report described their findings as, quote, not economically attractive. Other communications between DuPont employees around the turn of the century revealed concerns about the possible discovery of their cover-up of C8's harmful effects. Eventually, DuPont was found guilty of negligence, paying out significant sums in compensation. In 2006, the company agreed to phase out its use of C8 by 2015. However, the damage was already done. C8 had become so widespread in water supplies across the United States that traces of it could be found in the blood of virtually every American. Which of these cover-ups was the worst? Comment below, and also let me know what other corporate incidents you want me to explore. Thank you for watching Dark 5. Like and subscribe to continue exploring the greatest mysteries of this world and beyond.